Hey guys, so I thought that I should make this video because it has been a requested video and it is a topic that I get asked about quite often, and that is bartending. How did I get into bartending? How do you become a bartender? And honestly, there isn't just one answer to that question. There are so many different ways you can become a bartender. You could get a bartending job just by knowing the right people, by having friends that work as bartenders that can somehow get you in the door. You can go to bartending school, and while that may be expensive and that's the route that many people take, it doesn't always work out for people. I, for one, know at least 3 people who have been to bartending school and actually never ended up bartending. And the reason why is because in order to be a bartender, it's not just important to know how to make drinks, but it's also important to be charismatic, charming, sociable, and actually legitimately want to talk to customers. If you're just going to stand there and be shy and not be able to communicate with your customers, first of all, I don't think you'll last very long at the job, and second of all, it's kind of going to be a drag for you. So some people, they have what it takes to be a bartender, and other people, while yes, they can make an awesome Cosmo, may not be cut out for bartending. So let me just basically talk about how I got into bartending, where I am right now. I got my first bartending job when I was 20 years old, and it was completely out of the blue. I never intended on being a bartender, never ever considered being a bartender. I don't know, I just never thought that it was an option for me. And so one day I went to a dive bar that's in my town, and I went with like my boyfriend and like a few friends, and we went to go see a show there. And mind you, like, this bar was disgusting. Like, you would not want to drink at this bar because like you could just tell this place is like infested with God knows what. It was like a very rundown, sketchy dive bar, but it was like a very beloved dive bar. It was like a local hangout place for like a lot of young people in my area. So I walk into this bar, and I walk up to the bar, and me being like the smart-ass 20-year-old decided, hey, I'm gonna go and try to get drinks at this bar because it looks totally sketchy. Like, they're definitely gonna serve me booze here. So I went to the bar and I ordered a drink, and the owner comes up to me and personally cards me. And it's like, excuse me, are you old enough to be drinking? And are you old enough to even be here? So I straight up looked him in the eyes and said, no. And he said, "Oh, well, I'm sorry, I can't serve you then." And then I was expecting for him to kick me out, but instead he was like, the phone's ringing. So at this point I was expecting for him to kick me out, but luckily he didn't. He told me that I could stay, and I guess some of that has to do with the fact that I'm a young, attractive female, and he was probably really happy to have me at such an establishment. So I ended up staying, and at some point through the night, he like comes up to me and he's just like, would you like a job here? And I was like, sure. And at that time I didn't have a job. I was in school, and I was 20 years old, and I was just like fucking around and like not doing anything. So I said, sure, why not? He's like, all right, cool. Come next Monday night at 4 o'clock. I was like, all right. And all weekend I was on Google like looking up how to make drinks because I was like, holy shit, I don't know how to make anything. Like, if he needs me to bartend, then I need to at least know how to make something. And first of all, making drinks at bars is not as difficult as you think. Yes, there are some difficult drinks, and some customers may be really picky in how they want their drink made. And there's also several different ways to make certain drinks, such as like a martini. But odds are most people are going to order like a gin and tonic, or a vodka and cranberry, or, you know, even like simple martinis like a Cosmo. Like, that was the first martini that I learned how to make. So, I mean, it is your best bet if you're not going to go to bartending school. You want to go online and kind of like learn what the measurements are, how to make the basic drinks that you're most likely going to have to make at a bar. And just to make things easier for you guys, if you are serious about becoming bartenders, down below I will leave like a list of all the drinks that you should learn how to make if you intend on being a bartender. And then I'll also include a link to a reputable site that has like the the recipe for that drink, so you guys can check that out. But yeah, so that first day that I started bartending at this dive bar, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I got very lucky though, because as it is with many dive bars, it's not really a lot of cocktails, it's not really any martinis. It's mostly shots and beers, and that's just kind of self-explanatory. And it was really great experience, not in just like learning how to make a few drinks here and there, but it was really good experience because you really learn how like to deal with people. You learn how to deal with certain situations. And trust me, when you're bartending, you're going to be faced with so many crazy situations. And until you have those situations happen to you, you're really not going to be prepared for them, and you're not really going to know exactly how to handle them. I've had people fall asleep at the bar, I've had people get way too drunk, and I've had to cut them off, and they've gotten angry and violent with me. I've had girls get into fights, I've had guys get into fights, I've had creepy guys try to like stay until the closing time and like wait out for me in the parking lot and like wait by my car. I mean, the list goes on. Like the crazy shit you have to deal with at a bar is just like endless. So what I ended up doing is I whipped up a resume and I basically went from bar to bar and just basically went in and asked to speak to the owner or the manager personally, handed them my resume, introduced myself, and wished and hoped for the best. So I came in like a couple days later and I asked again, can I speak to the owner or the manager? And the owner was there, and I was dressed really, really nice, and I was all done up, and I had my resume with me. So I handed it to him, I introduced myself, I told him about the experience that I had, and I basically got hired right on the spot. When I started bartending there, I was only working day shifts. I was working Friday day, Saturday day, and then Sunday day. And that's just something that you're going to have to deal with when you first start working somewhere. You're going to be given the not so good shifts. You're not going to just get a job at a bar and then automatically be working like Friday night and Saturday night. You're probably going to be working like Tuesday night, Wednesday night, you know, maybe Sunday night. It's unrealistic to like expect to get the best hours right away, or until you at least prove yourself. So I was working those day shift hours, and I actually really liked it because, you know, you really get to know your customers because it's not so busy, so you do have time to like actually carry on conversations. And it would get busy like around happy hour time. So basically from like 11 to like 3 o'clock that we were open, like I would like make a little bit of money here and there for like people coming in for lunch. But like the main like hours where you're making money during those day shifts is like between like 4 and 6 o'clock, because that's like when happy hour is, and it would get crazy sometimes. Like sometimes it would get busier during happy hour than it would get at like night later on when the second shift bartender came on. But what's great about bartending is that you don't have to work full-time hours. Sometimes you can just work 3-4 days a week and you'll be making the same amount of money as some people make in a full week's work, in a full-time workload. So that's one of the main advantages of bartending. But let me tell you guys, you really do bust your ass for your money. You're up on your feet. There is no such thing as sitting in a bartending job. So basically, if you're gonna go the route that I went with becoming a bartender, you're gonna go to a shitty dive bar that's in your local area. You're going to get to know the owner or the manager, you're gonna befriend them in some way, and you're gonna kindly ask them, hey, I don't really have any experience, but I'm willing to learn, and I'm hardworking, and I'm persistent, and I'm motivated, and I would love if you could just give me a couple day or night shifts here and there, or if you ever need me, if someone ever doesn't show up, or if, you know, one of your people quit on you last minute, just know that you can call me up. They are going to come into a situation where at one point, sooner or later, they're going to call you. And when you come in, be ready. Before you come into work as a bartender, make sure you have at least had like a cup of coffee or something to get you through the night. I always pack like a little tiny bag of nuts in my bag. I bring like a backup Red Bull in case like I get tired halfway through the night. One thing as a bartender that you need is your personality and your energy. And if you're just like tired and standing in the corner and not talking to anybody and you're unapproachable, first of all, you're not going to make any money, and the owner or manager are going to take note of that, and they're going to either find somebody to replace you, or they're just going to not ask you to come back. So like I said, go around town, go into every single bar you see and ask to speak to the owner, ask to speak to the manager. Don't just fill out a resume and drop it off and then just expect them to call you. I feel like with any job, that just like never ends up working. Your name just gets lost in a pile of papers. There's no face behind the name. They can't see you. They can't see your personality. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that you go and meet face to face with whoever the owner or the manager is. So anyways, I will leave the list of drinks that every bartender should know down below. And if you guys have any questions that I may have left out in this video, because I'm sure I have, there is so much to bartending. Like, bartending is just like such a gigantic freaking topic. I can't even begin, but I feel like I touched based on like a lot of important things and a little bit of like how to get you started, how to get you on the right track if you want to be a bartender. So like this video if you'd like me to make more bartending videos. I was thinking possibly doing like a cocktail recipe type video series, because I'm always thinking up new drinks and new cocktails that I should probably share with you guys. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed this video and good luck.